If we talk about phonemes being the smallest unit of sound that we can create within a language, then a morpheme is the smallest form that conveys meaning. This is usually in the form of a word, but all the time it is a combination of phonemes, so it has to be at least two. A phoneme, like p or b, the basic sound, doesn't convey any meaning on its own. But when you combine them to create morphemes, they do have meaning. Okay, so p and b have zero meaning, but pat and bat do have meaning. Okay, so most words aren't actually one morpheme, they're actually a combination of morphemes. So the word art is a single word or a single meaning. So it's one morpheme, but a combination of phonemes. When you add the letter S to the end, it becomes a combination of morphemes. So art is one on its own. You can't break that into other meaningful pieces. An S is one on its own. It is meaningful and it implies more than one. So most words are actually combinations of morphemes as opposed to a singular one. And then you're going to have bounded and non-bounded or unbounded morphemes. So again, bounded or free morphemes is a better term. A bounded one is one that can only convey meaning when combined with something else. So IST doesn't have any meaning on its own, but when combined, it implies one who engages in the process or something of that nature. A free morpheme would be one that can stand alone and has meaning on its own. Okay, but the important thing to remember here is that morphemes are the next step up, the next building block. And so those are combinations of phonemes or the smallest sound. Okay, but then most words are then combinations of various morphemes. The next step up will be grammar and syntax. So grammar simply being the rules that govern how sounds are combined in a language. So the textbook gives the example of a sentence, Mary fixed Tom phone. Okay, doesn't make a ton of sense grammatically. So we're missing some clarification there. In English, we have to have a clarification on the verb. So is it going to be fixed? Is he currently fixing it, or was it fixed already? Is it past tense? So grammatically, that doesn't make a ton of sense. And so you have to have some clarification there. That's different in different cultures, okay, or different languages. They don't all have the same grammar. And then syntax then is how we arrange the words and phrases into sentences. Even with the sentence, Mary fixed Tom phone, the syntax there is correct. It's in the correct order. It's just that the grammar doesn't make a whole lot of sense there. So these grammar norms can feel very normal or natural to the native speaker, but can be strange or weird to someone else. Okay, so we don't in English mark the gender of objects. My table isn't male or female. We don't use that in our language. And so that feels very strange when we have to learn Spanish or French, for example, when we have these gendered pronouns. Okay. Another example, we have past, present, and future tenses in English. The language in Papua New Guinea has actually 5 tenses, and some Indonesian languages have no actual tense markings at all. There's no past, present, and future. Everything kind of happens in one place. Okay. We also don't have formal or informal pronouns in English, whereas French and Spanish and things like that, you might. Okay. And then another language in Papua New Guinea, you might have you, one person, you, 2 people, and you, more than 2 people, which we don't tend to have in normalized American English